This is bait. Life outside the Federal Witness Protection Program. A very dangerous way to exist.
Skinhead, deadhead, everybody, gun bad, situation, aggravation, everybody, allegation, innocence on the news, everybody, dog food, bang bang, shot dead, everybody, gun bad. All I wanna say is that they don't really care about us.
Domestic violence shelter or the streets? I picked the streets. Hey, it's Susan. Welcome to today's episode of War Crimes Unit. Hey, nice to see ya. There's a reason why I say this. Streets versus domestic violence shelter. Not just domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters. You see, a few days ago, actually it's probably been about a week ago, one of the police officers in Nogales saw me sleeping on the streets in the middle of the night and asked me if I wanted to stay in a shelter. And I said no, because I was sleeping actually right in front of a security camera for U.S. Customs. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that's actually safer for me because of the police brutality factor. You know, I'm a victim of police brutality along with the human trafficking. That's another descriptive word. The witness tampering is a descriptive word. But, you know, the big underlying cause is this police brutality case, the terrorism factor, and so forth. So me sleeping on the streets right underneath a security camera in front of U.S. Customs is safer than a domestic violence shelter. How crazy is that? And then like another officer asked me like a few hours later, because I had called out the police again, and I'm like, and, you know, he's like, this is the third time, you know, you've sent the police out. And I'm sitting there thinking, shit, dude, I got all kinds of problems. But he was just like, oh, you know, the best I can do is I can take you down to Mission, and, you know, and they can give you like, you can stay there and whatever, and then they can give you a bus ticket out of town. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, why don't you arrest the people that have done this to me, dude? You know, but whatever, you're just kind of a jerk. First two officers were not. The third one was, but whatever. But, you know, throw me in a homeless shelter and then send me on my way. I mean, that's pretty shitty. You know, my whole family's missing or murdered, you know. And you know, and you know, I'm asking for help, and it's like the best that you can do. It's like, okay, yeah, never mind. I'll sleep on the streets near U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Now, in history, these domestic violence shelters have been hacked. Very, very big up in Phoenix at the Chrysalis Domestic Violence Shelter, that was hacked. Very, very big at the Salvation Armies in Dallas and in McAllen, and in the domestic violence shelter down in Harlingen, Texas as well. I mean, hacked to the point where it was like I didn't even feel safe within the domestic violence shelter. I mean, keep in mind, when you got a police brutality case, these people will pay off anybody and anything to do anything, to say anything or screw you over. And then plus I had some stuff taken up in the Chrysalis domestic violence shelter. My iPod Touch got taken and so forth. So, and that's coincidentally where I met the other victim of terrorism, this Wendy DeVita Rosen, you know, at Chrysalis in Phoenix. And then coincidentally, I met the other victim of police brutality, and her and I have Agent Lazaro in common, HSI guy, at the Emerge domestic violence shelter. I mean, coincidentally in Tucson. So there's like all these coincidences. And then I meet another girl who's got my situation in Dallas. Where did I meet her? The Salvation Army. I mean, do you see, it's over and over again. So no, it's like if I don't have the money to pay for my own place to live, I live on the streets or I live in a restaurant. That's just the way it goes. I will never stay in another domestic violence shelter or homeless shelter ever again in my entire life because of the informant use by law enforcement. Then, you know, on top of that too, I've got the issue where, you know, now it doesn't happen in homeless shelters, but it happens in domestic violence shelters. They're trying to keep track of the people that are there because they're trying to keep them safe. But the trouble is, you know, they want to know what your safety plan is, what your case plan is. The trouble is that I can't disclose that to anybody on a regular basis what my plan is because of the police brutality factor. And these are the kinds of things that, you know, could be disclosed disclosed to the bad law enforcement. That puts me at risk, you see. So I can't even tell a domestic violence shelter what I'm doing or where I'm going. Now, if a uniformed officers, such as anybody in Mexico, in uniform. So that's the Policia, the Federales, the military, or the Mexican immigration, I can't pronounce that, migratory authorities here in Mexico, or customs, or border patrol, or even maybe sometimes the police or the sheriff. I mean, it just depends in the United States. In the United States, I'm a little bit more picky. I'm not as picky in, Mexico and foreign countries. But in America, I'm very, very picky on who I disclose my information to. But anyways, that's tonight's episode of War Crimes Unit. Keep your stun gun or machine gun handy. There's real criminals and terrorists out there. Not me, my son, or my family. I'll see you next time.